Hey guys, Bill Jordan here. I'm at 201-790-3368. I do candid video interviews. If you're a painter, a sculptor, or a candlestick maker, this is where you need to be. People buy from people they know. And the best way for them to know you is with my candid video interview. It resonates with them on the soul level. That's what you call the collective subconsciousness, the collective consciousness that everyone's in. Everything is in there, right? Like people talk about, you know, what they call the Akashic records. You know, all the knowledge is lodged in the Akashic records. In other words, once you develop that threshold to get into that area, you can bring out whatever you want. You know, so in other words, like it's truly then, heaven on earth, because you can go in there and dial up whatever you want to experience it. And pretty much you can do that now if you want, if you take a mindful approach. So, but now I want to talk about, I'm bringing that up because, see, because we don't have access, clear access, conscious access to the Akashic records. We believe in, separatism. We believe in, isolationism. We believe that we're separate from the group, and that the group is divided into factions. And if you look around the world, that's how the human mind plays it out. So it must be true because that's what you're experiencing, right? Yet when you add to the fact that everything that you experience is already in a big safe, a big vault in the sky, let's say. And you can go in there and, experience what you're going to experience before you actually experience it, or what you have experienced. And I'm trying to be nice about what I'm going to say, is because in our culture today, in our society today, we have the notion that some people, some ethnic groups have made very little, if any, contribution to the arts, as it were. And I belong to one of those groups that are perceived to have had a little contribution. And you can imagine how excited I become when I find out that that's not true. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. I'm going to show you this lady's work. Her name is Admonia Lewis, and she's an interesting woman. She was born during the slave days in Ohio, I believe. They're not really sure where she was born. So some people would say we're not sure that she actually lived, but that's not true because this is a sample of one of her pieces, her work. Now she's a Native American type lady. And this particular piece here, the old Indian arrow maker and his daughter, 1872. This is what she was cracking this out in 1872. And for me, it looks like it's not quite as fine as Rodin, but it's a good piece. It's good. She was a young lady then, she was born in 1845, let's say. So in her 30s, she's cranking stuff out like this, right? And then her bio reads like she left the United States and she went to Europe, and she ended up studying in Rome, and she discovered that she thought she knew a lot before she got to Rome, but then when she got there, she realized she knew very little, and that's her picture, right? That's her picture. This is some of her work. She did this piece here, all right? Let me get that piece again for you. All right, this is her work. I forgot the name of this one. Yes, they have her listed as she's a 19th century African-American and Native American sculptor, all right? And that's her picture. We go a little further down. I'm not sure of this guy. I think this is one of her mentor teachers. She left. She went to school in Ohio. She was expelled. They accused her of poisoning some of the white students. She was exonerated from that. And then they said that she stole art supplies, so they kicked her out. So she said later for that, she went to Boston and she started, studying with these different guys. And she made her money by making busts of popular, what do they call those guys? Popular figures, abolitionists. That's how she made money. And she made enough money to go to Europe. Some more of her work. So as Lewis traveled to, that's her last name, Lewis. Lewis traveled to London, Paris, and Florence before settling in Rome, where she learned Italian and rented a studio near the Palazzi Barberini. Lewis became acquainted with Harriet Hoster and other American sculptors, many of whom had been drawn to Rome by the availability of fine white marble and skills of Italian stone carvers, who were often hired to transfer a sculptor's design from plaster model to the finished marble. Lewis was, check this out, Lewis was unique among the sculptors of her generation in Rome, as she rarely employed Italian carvers and completed most of her work without assistance, in part due to her limited financial resources. Now check this out. So, she ain't just like designing stuff and having somebody copy. She's doing it, all right? Another one of her pieces, all right? That was nice, right? That's a bust, all right? So let me just give you insight to this lady. If you want to check it out, it's on, go to Art with Bill on Facebook, check it out. But, it's just really enlightening. And I just think that anybody who has, whatever your culture is, and there's only one culture in my opinion, and that's the human culture. But whatever aspect of culture you have a favor, that you favor, you should support it, man. And other folks should be able to recognize and embrace. And I'm bringing up her story because her story is so interesting, what she had to go through. And it just gives value to the work. It takes it out of obscurity, you see, for me. It says, well, wow, I want that piece now because this woman, this is what she was about. There was a quote in there by her that I didn't have a chance to locate, but she was saying she'd rather be in the woods where she could, catch fish and there's plenty of wood to fry the fish and rather spend, a day in the city. But she had to go to the city because that's where the money was, okay? And so, these are the things that come out in the candid video interview. Just little things like that really, make people want to cherish you, make people want to hold you. Like I held this lady in New Esteem. If I didn't know about this, I would just look at that and say, well, blah, 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 blah. Another one of those fake things. But no, there's a story behind it. And her story has led me to understand the story she was telling. That's what I'm trying to get across to you guys, man. Now, the difference between you and her is not about color. It's about passion. She did what she had to do to get it done. Oh, I forgot to tell you this, that her brother, this will not be another thing that maybe some people won't want to hear, but her brother, he was dark-skinned as well. He became a gold miner in California. And he's actually the one who, subsidized her, education, her trips to Boston. He encouraged her to go to Europe, you see? So, contrary to what some people believe, everybody was not, doing poorly. What I'm trying to say is, by telling your story, this is the kind of response you get. It's an enrichment of your work, right? The thing is, if you don't have a story to tell, if your story is like let's say, I'm not going to criticize your where you are, but wherever you are, you can tell a story that will elevate the awareness of your public. Say if you're a Main Street mom, nothing wrong with that, but tell me your story from a global perspective about being a Main Street mom who paints. You know what I'm saying? If you love to gossip, make it global gossip. I'm at 201-790-3368. My name is Bill like Clinton, you're like Michael. All right, give me a call. Let's do a candid video interview. Peace out.